There is a man who will exist in 20 years. He has your name. He has your face, older. And right now, tonight, you are deciding what kind of life he wakes up to, without asking him, and without ever once picturing him as real. He is not a symbol. He is coming, as surely as tomorrow is coming, and he inherits every choice you are making while you sit here. The body you keep meaning to train, the money you keep meaning to save, the work you keep meaning to start. He gets all of it, exactly as you leave it. And here is the part that should stop you cold. You rob him without a flicker of guilt every single day, because some part of your own mind has quietly decided he is a stranger. Journeyman, for the next half hour, I'm going to make that man real to you. Because the day he stops being a stranger is the day your whole life changes. And I'm going to show you exactly how to reach him. Start with what he actually receives, because most men have never once added it up. Think of your life as a set of accounts, and the 20-year man as the one who inherits every balance. Not in the abstract, one at a time, the way they'll land on him. The first account is the body. Every night you tell yourself you'll start moving, eating right, sleeping like a man who wants to last. And then you don't. You charge it to him. He's the one who climbs the stairs and has to stop halfway. He's the one whose back and knees and heart hand over the bill for 20 years of, "I'll get to it later." You feel fine tonight, so it costs you nothing tonight. That's the trap. The body sends its invoice late, and it sends it to him. The second account is money. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The small amounts you could have set aside and spent instead, because the now wanted them, and the now always wins. 20 years of small, reasonable, forgettable nows, and he is the man who opens the account at the end and finds it nearly empty. He doesn't get to vote on it, he just gets the balance you left him. The third account is skill. The craft you keep meaning to learn. The thing you'd be 10 years deep in by now if you'd started any of the times you swore you would. He is the man still standing at the beginning of the thing he was supposed to have mastered. Not because he lacked the ability, but because you spent his practice hours on comfort, over and over, until the hours were gone. The fourth account is the mind. What you fed it for 20 years. Every hour poured into the endless scroll instead of into anything that stays. He inherits the attention span you spent down to nothing. A head trained to need a new, small hit every few seconds. And then he has to try to build something real with a mind you taught to quit after 8 seconds. And the fifth account is the people. The children who needed the version of you that was present, not the one half gone into a screen at the dinner table. The people who loved you and got a ghost. Those hours don't refund. He inherits the relationships you either built or quietly let starve while you were busy planning to build them. Body, money, skill, mind, people. 5 accounts, and he inherits all 5 exactly as you leave them tonight. You are not drifting toward some vague future. You are writing in permanent ink the opening balance of a real man's life. And you're doing it half asleep. So why is that so easy to ignore? If a thief were draining 5 of your accounts, you'd fight him with everything you had. But you hand it all to your own future without blinking. There's a specific reason for that. buried in how your brain actually works. And once you see it, you'll understand every broken promise you've ever made to yourself. Here's the strange thing. If someone stole 20 years of your effort, you'd never forgive them. But you give it away to your own future man freely. Why does that feel like nothing? Because your brain does not actually believe that future man is you. People who study this closely found something that should rearrange how you see your whole life. When the average person pictures himself far in the future, the activity in his head doesn't match a man thinking about himself. It matches a man thinking about someone else, a stranger. Your mind quietly files the 20-year version of you in the same drawer as a person you've never met and owe nothing to. Sit in that for a second because it explains everything. You are not neglecting yourself. As far as your brain is concerned, you're just declining to do a favor for some guy you'll never meet. And nobody sacrifices for a stranger. Nobody trains hard, eats clean, saves money, and puts down the phone for the sake of a stranger. So of course the promises break. You were never breaking them to yourself. You were breaking them to a man your own mind refuses to recognize. This is the real work, and it's quieter and harder than any workout. It's dragging that man out of the stranger drawer and making him you again. Making yourself feel his knees on the stairs, his empty account, his beginner's hands at the craft he should have owned. Because the day he stops being a stranger is the day robbing him starts to hurt. And the day it starts to hurt is the day you finally stop. Everything else in this video is aimed at that one shift. But you have an opponent working to keep him a stranger, and it's working on you right now. Call it the instant world. The instant world is everything built to pay you right now, in small doses, so that waiting starts to feel like losing. It's the feed that hands you a hit every few seconds. It's the promise that the 20-year result is available in 90 days. It's the low, grinding shame you feel when the 90 days pass and nothing has changed. So you go hunting for the next thing that swears it'll be faster. Understand what makes it dangerous. It is not laziness. Laziness you could see and fight. The instant world arrives dressed as ambition. It tells you to want more, move faster, get it now. And it calls that drive. Underneath, it's training you to do one thing above everything else. Serve the man you are tonight and bankrupt the man you're becoming. And here's its cleverest move, the one almost nobody catches. The instant world deals in exactly one currency. Now. It cannot process later. Later does not exist to it. So every time you say you'll start tomorrow, you're speaking a language it doesn't even hear. And while the words are leaving your mouth, it's already collecting again. Later is not a plan. It's the sound a man makes while he's being robbed. Notice how perfectly it works with the stranger problem. Your brain already files the future man as a stranger, so his needs feel far away and unreal. The instant world lives entirely in the now, where everything feels close and urgent. The two of them team up against you. The future man is a distant stranger. The next hit is right here. Every day, that's the fight. And every day, most men lose it the same way. The man who wins his own life isn't the one who never feels this pull. Everyone feels it. He's the one who stopped obeying it, who learned to sit in the stretch where nothing has paid off yet, without rotting. Almost nobody can do that, and there's a reason. It has to do with what waiting actually does to a man, and the two ways he cracks. Let me show you both, because if you can see them coming, you can refuse them. There's a stretch between deciding to build something and seeing it pay off. Call it the long middle. It's the season where you're doing the work and nothing visible is happening yet. No applause, no results you can point to, no proof. Just the daily payment and the silence. The long middle is where nearly every man quits, and he quits through one of two doors. The first door is the loud one. This is the man who goes all in on Monday. New plan, new gear, maximum intensity, everything at once. He looks disciplined, but he's not paying the future man. He's chasing the instant world's high in a disciplined costume. He wants the payoff fast, so he overspends in week 1, feels nothing arrive by week 3, and quits in disgust, telling himself the whole thing doesn't work. It worked fine. He just demanded a 20-year result on a 90-day clock, and walked when the clock didn't cooperate. The second door is the quiet one, and it's far more dangerous, because it doesn't look like quitting at all. This is the man who slowly drifts back into comfort. He doesn't announce he's giving up. He just finds himself, one evening, doing a little less, then a little less, telling himself he's regrouping, resting, being reasonable. He fades out so gently, he never has to admit he stopped. Most men who lose the long game don't rage quit. They dissolve quietly and call it a rough patch that somehow stretches into a decade. Watch for both doors in yourself. When you feel the urge to go loud and do everything at once, that's the instant world disguised as ambition, setting you up for the rage quit. When you feel yourself softly drifting back toward doing less, that's the instant world too, in its quietest and most effective form. Naming the door you're walking toward is half of not walking through it. This is the quiet Stoic, for men who are done being inspired and ready to be honest about the gap between what they know and what they do. If that's landing, subscribe so the next hard truth reaches you instead of the next comfortable lie. Then stay with me, because the two honest objections you're already forming are exactly what I want to answer next, and then I'll hand you the way through. Two objections because you're already thinking them, and an honest man answers them out loud. The first: I just need to get motivated first, then I'll start. Here's the problem. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are the instant world's home turf. If you have to feel motivated before you move, you've handed the keys to the exact system that's robbing you, because it can always hand you the feeling and let you skip the act. The men who build anything do not run on motivation, they run on the appointment. They show up whether the feeling came or not, and the feeling, when it shows up at all, arrives after they start, not before. You don't feel your way into action, you act, and the feeling follows the motion. The second: isn't 20 years too far away to plan for? Anything could happen. True, anything could. But that objection is the stranger talking. It's your brain telling you the future man isn't real enough to sacrifice for, dressed up as practical wisdom. And notice, you plan for next weekend without needing a guarantee you'll be here. You'll make plans for a vacation 8 months out. The distance was never the real problem. The real problem is that 8 months you still feels like you, and 20 years you feels like a stranger. Close that gap, and the "it's too far away" objection dies on its own. Here's the part the instant world hides hardest, because it's the thing that would set you free. One small payment a day looks like nothing. That's exactly why you skip it. The instant world whispers that it's too small to matter, so why bother tonight? But small daily payments don't add up. They compound. The reps you do this year make next year's reps possible, which make the year after's possible. And somewhere out along that line, the returns stop being small and quietly become the entire difference between the two men. The reason you can't feel it is that compounding is invisible up close. Day to day, the payment and the skip look almost identical. Nothing visible happens either way. So the instant world, which can only see now, tells you it doesn't matter. And about tonight, it's right. About the decade, it's catastrophically wrong. The gap between the man who pays daily and the man who skips daily doesn't show up in a week or a month. It shows up all at once, years later, as two completely different men who started from the very same evening. You will never get daily proof. That's the whole test. You have to pay him without the receipt, trusting math you can't see, through a stretch where nothing looks like it's working. That's the long middle again. And it's why the practice I'm about to give you is built to survive with no applause at all. 4 moves, deliberately small, because the instant world wins the moment the first step is big enough to put off. 1. Make him real before you make plans. Before any of this works, the stranger has to become you. So once a day, take 60 seconds and picture him specifically. Not a vague, older figure, the actual man. See his body, his account, his hands, his evenings, built out of exactly what you did today. The failure point here is skipping this because it feels soft. Don't. This is the step that powers the other 3. A man you can see is a man you won't rob. 2. Make one payment a day that buys you nothing now. Pick a single act that gives tonight's you 0 and the 20-year man everything. Reps he won't feel for a decade. A page nobody reads yet. Money moved where your hands can't reach it. The failure point is negotiating the size, trying to make it heroic. Don't. One honest payment beats a grand plan you abandon by Thursday, because only one of them is small enough to actually repeat. 3. Keep the books where you can see them. Once a day, write 2 lines, the one thing you charged to him and the one thing you paid toward him. Not for anyone else. The failure point is vagueness. I did okay today is a feeling, not a record. Name the real charge and the real payment in specifics, because a man who keeps honest books cannot be robbed quietly. 4. At night, grade the payment, not the payoff. Do not ask whether today paid off. It almost never will. And that's not failure. That's the long middle doing exactly what it does. Ask the only fair question: did I pay him today, or did I charge him again? The failure point is judging yourself by results you don't control. You don't control the payoff. You control the payment. Grade only that, and you can walk the whole silent stretch without breaking. Make him real. Pay him once, keep the books, grade the payment. None of the four require you to feel ready, because ready is one more thing the instant world sells and never delivers. Go back to where we started. A man with your name and your face, 20 years out, waking up tomorrow into a life you are building for him tonight, whether you meant to or not. For most of your life, he's been a stranger, and that's exactly why he's been so easy to rob. Everything I've given you tonight is aimed at one thing: turning that stranger back into you, so that his empty account and his tired body and his beginner's hands finally feel like yours. Because they are. Here's the whole thing in one line. Journeyman, you are not drifting toward a future. You are writing the opening balance of a real man's life in permanent ink tonight. The only thing you get to decide is whether he inherits your debt or your discipline. The instant world will tell you it isn't working yet. The instant world is not your judge. It only knows now. It can't see the man you're building, so it will never once tell you that you're close. You have to walk the long middle, without applause and without proof, paying a man you're slowly turning back into yourself. This is that stretch. It's where almost every man walks away. You don't have to. So pay him something tonight, while it still costs you. That's the only proof that was ever going to count. The honest move right now is to make one payment before this feeling fades. The small kind, the 60-second kind. Do that first. Then, if this reached something true in you, subscribe. Not for the lift, but for the reminder to keep paying when nothing shows. And send it to one man who needs to meet the guy who's going to inherit his life. He doesn't need more comfort. He needs to stop being a stranger to himself. Vale.